Somewhere in this country, right now, there's a recipe box sitting in a basement. Inside it, stained index cards written in handwriting nobody in the family can quite read anymore. No exact measurements, just a bit of this and enough of that until it looks right. For thousands of Canadian families, that recipe box was the real cookbook, and for decades, one appliance turned those handwritten notes into dinner: the Crockpot. It arrived in Canadian kitchens at exactly the right moment. Long winters, rising grocery prices, and a generation of parents suddenly working longer hours than the one before them. It didn't care if the recipe was Ukrainian, Acadian, German, or handed down from a grandmother who grew up on the prairies with almost nothing. It simply cooked, slowly and patiently, all day long, and turned whatever ingredients a family could afford into a meal that tasted like home. Today, we're traveling from coast to coast, uncovering 10 old Canadian crockpot dinners that once defined entire communities, but that almost nobody makes anymore. Some came from farmhouses on the prairies. Some came from immigrant kitchens that quietly reshaped what Canadian food even means. And one, right at the end, is so tied to a single Canadian province that just saying its name brings people to tears of nostalgia. Let's begin. 10. Doukhobor Borscht. In the early 1900s, thousands of Doukhobor families fled religious persecution in Russia and settled across Saskatchewan and British Columbia. They brought very little with them, but they brought borscht, not the thin, breathy version many Canadians picture today, but a thick, hearty stew built around beets, cabbage, potatoes, carrots, and a swirl of fresh cream stirred in at the end. By the 1970s, families across the prairies had adapted the dish for the crockpot, letting the vegetables slowly break down over an entire day until the broth turned a deep, unmistakable magenta. Traditionally, no meat was used at all, which made the soup even more affordable during lean years and could feed an entire farmhouse full of family for almost nothing. Today, borscht still exists on some Canadian tables, but the slow-simmered prairie version, thickened all day and finished with real cream, has largely disappeared, and the next forgotten recipe didn't come from the prairies at all. It came from Alberta's German settlements, and it turned an ordinary cut of beef into something nobody expected to find on a Canadian dinner table. 9. Alberta rouladen. Throughout the 20th century, waves of German immigrants settled across Alberta, drawn by the promise of farmland. They brought their language, their churches, and their Sunday dinners, and rouladen was one of them. Thin slices of beef were spread with mustard, then layered with bacon, onion, and a dill pickle, before being rolled tightly and secured with string or toothpicks. Browned quickly on the stovetop, the rolls then went into the crockpot with beef broth, left to simmer for hours until the meat turned impossibly tender. The broth itself thickened naturally, turning into a rich, tangy gravy that soaked into a side of spätzle or mashed potatoes. It was a Sunday production, the kind of dish that meant the whole family was coming together. Today, rouladen has quietly slipped out of most Albertan kitchens, remembered mostly by families who can still trace their roots back to those original settlements. The next one traveled straight from the Pacific coast, built around a fish that once defined an entire province. 8. BC salmon and potato chowder. For generations, salmon wasn't just food in British Columbia, it was identity, and coastal families built entire seasons around the salmon runs, letting nothing go to waste. One forgotten crockpot recipe combined chunks of fresh or canned salmon with potatoes, onions, celery, and evaporated milk, left to simmer gently until the broth turned thick and rich. Unlike beef or pork, salmon needed careful timing, so many home cooks added it only during the final hour, keeping the delicate flakes intact instead of letting them dissolve. Served with thick slices of homemade bread, it became the meal that warmed entire households. Through the damp, gray coastal winters. Today, salmon chowder still appears on some West Coast menus, but the slow-cooked, all-day version, built from whatever salmon a family had put up that season, has mostly disappeared. The next forgotten dinner came from the heart of the prairies, carried there by settlers who turned a simple dumpling into an entire way of life. 7. Manitoba farmer sausage and pierogi bake. Across Manitoba and Saskatchewan, Ukrainian settlers arrived by the thousands in the late 1800s and early 1900s, transforming the prairie landscape one homestead at a time, and bringing pierogis and farmer sausage with them. One forgotten crockpot dinner layered frozen pierogis with smoked farmer sausage, sautéed onions, and a generous ladle of sour cream, left to cook together for hours until every layer melted into the next. The pierogis softened without falling apart. The sausage released its smoky flavor into the sauce, and the sour cream turned everything rich and slightly tangy by the time dinner was served. It became a staple at Ukrainian church suppers and prairie potlucks alike. The kind of dish nobody wrote down because everybody already knew how to make it. Today, pierogis are easier to find in Canadian grocery stores than ever before. But the slow-cooked farmhouse version, built to feed an entire threshing crew, has quietly faded from most family kitchens. The next recipe traveled east into homes shaped by two very different cultures meeting on the same coastline. 6. Acadian chicken fricot. Long before Canada existed as a country, Acadian settlers were already building a life along the coasts of what is now New Brunswick and Nova Scotia. Fricot was one of their oldest dishes, a hearty chicken stew, thickened not with flour, but with small dumplings or simply potatoes grated directly into the pot. One forgotten crockpot version combined chicken pieces, onion, potatoes, and summer savory, an herb so tied to maritime cooking that many Acadian families still consider it essential. Cooked low and slow for most of the day, the broth turned rich and slightly starchy, thick enough to coat the back of a spoon. For many Acadian families, fricot wasn't a special occasion meal. It was Sunday, Tuesday, and every cold night in between. Today, fricot survives mostly in small pockets of the Maritimes, remembered by families who can trace their history back centuries along that same coastline. But the next forgotten dish carried its own herb into the story, one that grows wild across an entire province and gave a very ordinary cut of meat, something no other recipe on this list could offer. 5. Northern Ontario wild blueberry glazed ham. Every August, families across Northern Ontario headed into the bush with pails in hand, picking wild blueberries by the gallon. Whatever wasn't eaten fresh was frozen, canned, or preserved for winter. One forgotten crockpot recipe put those preserves to use in an unexpected way. A modest ham was covered in a glaze made from wild blueberries, brown sugar, and a splash of vinegar, then left to cook low and slow until the berries broke down completely into a deep purple sauce. Sweet, slightly tart, and nothing like the pineapple glazed hams that would later dominate Canadian dinner tables. For families in mining and logging towns across the north, it was proof that even in a short growing season, the land still provided something worth celebrating. Today, wild blueberries mostly end up in muffins and pies. Almost nobody remembers turning them into a savory glaze for Sunday dinner. But the next forgotten recipe wasn't built around a single ingredient at all. It was built around an entire method, one that turned Quebec's most humble ingredients into something that took all day to layer and only minutes to disappear from the table. 4. Quebec sipaille. In rural Quebec, particularly in regions like the Gaspé and Bas-Saint-Laurent, one dish stood above almost every other winter meal. Sipaille, sometimes called 6 pots, for the many pastry layers traditionally baked into it. The crockpot version simplified the process without losing the spirit of the dish. Layers of cubed pork, chicken, and beef were stacked with onion, potatoes, and warm spices like cinnamon and cloves, left to cook together for most of the day until the layers melted into one another. Some families still added a simple pastry topping at the end. Others skipped it entirely, letting the layered meats and potatoes speak for themselves. Every family had their own combination of meats, and every family insisted theirs was correct. Today, sipai survives mostly at community suppers and in a handful of Quebec restaurants that still honor the old recipes. But the slow-cooked, everyday family version has largely disappeared. And the next forgotten dinner takes us to a province where one single dish means something almost impossible to explain to anyone who didn't grow up eating it. 3. Newfoundland Jig's Dinner. Ask anyone from Newfoundland what Sunday dinner tasted like growing up, and you'll get the same answer almost every time. Jig's dinner. Salt beef soaked overnight to draw out some of the salt, then cooked low and slow with cabbage, carrot, turnip, and potatoes, all simmered together in the same pot. The Crockpot version made a difference that mattered to busy families. Instead of watching a boiling pot all morning, the salt beef and vegetables could cook together for hours, unattended, while the family went to church or simply slept in. By dinner time, the vegetables had absorbed the salty richness of the beef, and the kitchen smelled like every Sunday that came before it. Many families finished the meal with peas pudding, a dense pudding made from yellow split peas, tied in a cloth bag and cooked right alongside everything else in the same pot. For an entire province, this wasn't just dinner, it was practically a religion. Today, Jig's dinner still appears on Newfoundland tables, especially on Sundays, but the slow-cooked crockpot version, built to simmer unattended all morning, has largely been replaced by faster stovetop methods. But if you think Newfoundland's contribution to this list ends there, wait until you hear what happened one province over, where a single crustacean turned a fisherman's leftovers into one of the most beloved meals in the entire country. 2. PEI lobster and potato chowder. There was a time not so long ago when lobster wasn't a luxury on Prince Edward Island. It was practically an inconvenience, eaten so often that some workers reportedly asked for it to be left off the menu more than a few times a week. One forgotten crockpot recipe turned whatever lobster was left over into a rich, creamy chowder, simmered with potatoes, onion, and cream for hours until the flavors had nowhere left to go but into each other. Unlike expensive restaurant versions today, this wasn't built around perfect whole claws presented on top. It was built around whatever meat could be picked from the shells the night before, stretched with potatoes to feed an entire fishing family. As the hours passed, the potatoes broke down just enough to thicken the broth naturally, while the lobster stayed tender, added carefully near the end so it never turned rubbery. For island families, it wasn't a special occasion. It was simply what happened to yesterday's catch. Today, lobster has become one of the most expensive items on any Canadian menu, and the humble, all-day crockpot chowder that once used up the leftovers has almost entirely disappeared, replaced by chowder built specifically to be expensive. But none of these 9 recipes fully capture what it meant to grow up eating dinner from a crockpot in Canada, because the final entry on this list wasn't famous in just one province. It quietly became a tradition almost everywhere at once. 1. Ukrainian-Canadian cabbage borscht with farmer sausage. By the middle of the 20th century, Ukrainian-Canadian communities had spread far beyond the prairies, into cities and small towns across the entire country. And with them came a heartier cabbage-based borscht, quite different from Saskatchewan's beet-based version. Built around shredded cabbage, tomatoes, potatoes, and thick slices of farmer sausage, it simmered together for an entire day. As the hours passed, the cabbage softened completely. The tomatoes broke down into a rich, slightly sweet broth, and the sausage released smoky flavor into every single bite. Finished with a generous dollop of sour cream and a scattering of fresh dill, it became the meal that welcomed families home after church, a shift at the plant, or a long day of shoveling snow. It wasn't tied to one province at all. It traveled with Ukrainian-Canadian families wherever they settled, quietly becoming one of the most recognizable crockpot dinners in the entire country. Today, cabbage rolls and pierogies still get most of the attention at Ukrainian-Canadian celebrations. But this simpler, everyday version, the one that simmered all day in a crockpot rather than appearing only at holidays, has quietly slipped away. And maybe that's exactly why it deserves the #1 spot. Because it wasn't a special occasion dish at all. It was simply what dinner looked like in kitchens from Winnipeg to Toronto to Vancouver on any ordinary night of the week. Travel across this country, and you'll find 10 completely different stories behind 10 completely different pots. A borscht carried across an ocean by families fleeing persecution. A chowder built from a fisherman's leftovers. A ham glazed with berries picked by hand in the northern bush. None of these recipes were created to impress anyone. They were created because families needed to eat, budgets were tight, and the crockpot solved a problem every one of these communities shared. Looking back, these recipes tell us something bigger than what Canadians simply ate for dinner. They tell us how this country was actually built. Wave after wave of newcomers, arriving with almost nothing but a handful of recipes and the patience to adapt them. Ukrainian settlers on the prairies, German families in Alberta, Acadian communities along the Maritime coast, fishing families on 2 entirely different oceans, all of them somehow ending up around the exact same appliance, quietly simmering dinner all day long. Most of these recipes never made it into a printed cookbook. They lived on index cards in church basements and in the memory of grandmothers who never once measured anything precisely. And that's exactly why so many of them disappeared. Not because they weren't loved, but because nobody thought to write them down. So maybe the next time that recipe box turns up in a basement somewhere in this country, it's worth opening it up. Because some of the best dinners this country ever produced are still sitting quietly inside, waiting for someone to turn the crockpot back on.